Welcome back to the Fitness League, helping busy humans build strong bodies, sharper minds, and better lives. Join us each week as we cut through the noise, challenge the norms, and empower you to train smarter and live stronger. If you're new here, my name is Josh. I host this podcast with my wife, Alessandra, and our business partner / best bud, Joel. We are the founders of the Fitness League and Levolution Coaching. During our time in the industry, our teams have helped thousands of one-on-one clients and tens of thousands of app users to achieve their health and fitness goals. Whether that be their dream body, performance and competition goals, or simply living a happier, healthier life that enables them to show up better for the people and things they care about most. Our mission is to make the world a happy, healthy place, and we launched this podcast to give you actionable steps to make improvements in your life starting today. So whether you ever work with us or just tune in for the conversation and take-home tips, we're glad you're here. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome back.
Q&A day.
Q&A day. Did you guys ever watch the show New Girl?
A long time ago.
No.
It's not Josh's style.
That's a really good, just like feel good, happy.
He would hate every second of it.
No, but I feel like he would really like Schmidt, which is why whatever I just said, that was like, I don't remember what I just said, but I said it like in a Schmidt voice. And there's just things he says like that I feel like Josh would like him. But there are other
Enough to get around the whole show?
Piss him off. What?
Enough to that I would like that person enough to get me around the whole show.
I don't know. It's like, it's goofy. It's goofy, and like it's probably a little young for us. Like I feel like in like your 20s, you're like, oh, this is just like a cute show to watch. But I feel like there's aspects of it that you would really like. Mostly just Schmidt and just, his character.
We'll have to make Josh watch one episode and get a report back just to see.
We have so little TV time that it's like critical
I know.
to
We
make
really
a good
don't
choice.
watch anything.
I gave up
good choices left.
post kids bedtime TV. Part of Lent, so it's been a lot of reading. Yeah,
Jesus,
been a lot of reading,
which
is
watching
good.
TV.
Everyone's like, that's such an easy cop out, but it's like that's our go-to when the kids go down. It's like that release of stress. Like, not that we watch for hours and hours, but it's like, all right, one episode and then we'll go read and get into bed.
And it's funny because I had to give it up basically too, because I'm not going to sit there and watch TV by myself. So,
I would. Bye. After we just had this whole conversation yesterday about quality time with your spouse, there have been like some instances where like if there's a game on or like something that like a live sporting thing that like Brant really wants to watch, we'll divide and conquer. I'm like, I'm gonna go watch like my guilty pleasure Grey's Anatomy. You could go watch the game. See ya.
It's fair.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Enjoy your night. All right, well, we'll dive in with Katie. She wants to know what program you would recommend for my husband who has not been strength training in a few years and would like to start small with 2 to 3 days a week. We have 2 little ones and work full time, so he was wanting to start more on nutrition and training. I know he's overwhelmed by the thought of it. Main goal is to lose fat and gain strength. Thank you so much. I rave about your app and podcast, and he is ready to take the dive. Thank you, Katie. So we do have a couple new programs. 2 or 3 days a week. That's Prime and Momentum. Momentum, I believe, is the 2-day. Prime is the 3-day. And those are going to be like your build move structure. Very, very similar workouts. And it's going to be a great starting point. So if he dives in with, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, he can't go wrong with either. I think I just put a post up on this today. It's funny. We have a lot of people we enjoy following on social media. A lot of them are professional athletes or bodybuilders, fitness models, people who are fun to look at and like watch their life. But we don't live even remotely similar lives compared to them. So when we try to emulate the things that they're doing, they're able to optimize for certain things that we are not able to optimize for, whether that's fill in the blank. It could be anything, but we have to be able to take a step back and be like, all right, that dude just won Mr. Olympia, probably can't follow his program. Can I commit to 2 days a week? Because that sounds like crazy small compared to 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, an hour in the gym, whatever it is. Is it really worth it? And we have this preconceived notion that it's not worth it. But committing to the thing that you can step up and do consistently week over week is the thing that moves the needle. In the financial world, they call that compounding interest, and that's what creates generational wealth. Same thing works with your health. It's those tiny little deposits that you do on a weekly basis consistently without any fallback. Like, this is the minimum. I know I can do this. Here's what we're going to commit to, and build on that. And if you can go 3 days, in a couple months, 4 days in a few months after that, 5 days, build up once you kind of get your rhythm, cool. If not, stick to what you can do and just don't stop.
Agreed.
All right, I guess that's that. Shelby says, not fully a question. That's it. Not fully a question, but more of an understanding of your thought process in the app itself. So I thought this one, I'll give you the back text with this, and we can kind of have an open debate here. With each move that we do, you click the video, and there's about a paragraph of info below that on how to set up for the move, cues, etc. Is it possible that we can get more of the why on the benefits of that move, more in depth of what that muscle group being worked is? And then she understands we do have the small icons under the movement that show you which category is in. So we'll see like cardio, biceps, triceps, hamstrings, glutes, whatever that is. But she enjoys knowing the why behind the move. So an example was the kettlebell offset marches. She did them yesterday, didn't fully grasp the benefits to her more than just holding the kettlebell at her side.
I struggle with this because...
Well, and just answer that part first, and then we can go into like the open debate and like...
What am I answering?
So just like, what is she doing with the kettlebell marches, the offset?
So any type of march that's weighted, especially this one's offset, it's really just core stability. It's challenging your core. There's different ways to train your core, and just, if you're holding a weight on one side, your body is naturally going to want to obviously lean to that side. So by staying with an upright posture, keeping your core active, and then marching through that movement with that offset weight, you're challenging core stability. So that's what you were looking for.
It was, and that was kind of where I wanted you to lead me into this. That something like a kettlebell offset march might require a little more. Like, it does say core on there, but we could have something like, because you're offset, your body has stabilized, different way to work your core. My thought process is like, if we're talking about a bicep curl, like all you need to know is you're working your biceps.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because if you look at any of the like exercises I've put in the app, I kind of do write that for all of the ones I've done. So maybe we're not as uniform as we think we are there. But like for something like that, I think was Tom's input maybe because it was a kettlebell. But any of like the weird like maybe movements you aren't really like anything that's not a basic generic bicep curl, squat, whatever, I do try to write like the intent behind it, even if it's very short, not necessarily muscle group or like all the mechanical stuff, but just like, this is what we're working on with this kind of thing. So I like it from that aspect. I think would be cool, but I don't think it's necessary to go into like the whole sciencey, like full explanation of every single exercise for our users. Like, they're not there to, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, they're not there to get a science lesson.
That's the next question. So first of all, I was responsible for all of Tom's exercise description, so I will bear the blunt of that. That wasn't Tom. Sorry, Tom. Second side of that is more of an open question back to the audience is, do you guys want the educational mechanisms? And maybe it's not in the exercise itself, but like throughout the app and like little, not teasers, but kind of not, I don't even know, pop-ups. So that we have to decide on like design what that makes sense. But do you guys want to learn anything, everything throughout the app? You guys know what I'm getting at? Like, maybe it doesn't live in the description, but like, is it a general theme where we do more educating and build that into the long-term vision? I don't know. I'm posing it.
You're posing it to the audience, right? Not to us.
Both. You two right now, you guys are just kind of staring at me blankly.
A few things. So one, I think that there are a lot of people who really do love the education behind like, why are we doing this? Or like, why is it this many sets this week? Or why did we change to this kind of march? And they're curious about the why, which is totally fair, especially when you're just like, you're excited, you're eager, you're wanting to learn so that like maybe you can program things for yourself on your own, or like you're trying to understand why. And oftentimes there is a reason why we program something, but also respectfully, it's not always that deep. Like sometimes we just need a core exercise. And in a previous, like last month's core exercise for you, Alessandra, might have been a different kettlebell hold. And now it's kettlebell offset marches, likely because that's a good variation of another type of core exercise. And like, that's all there kind of is to it. Like, yeah, we could tell you what the benefits of that specific exercise are, or it is, whatever. But like sometimes it's just not that deep why we program something. Like we obviously are programming really intentionally, and we're programming sets intentionally and exercise selection intentionally. But a lot of times it's just variations of the same stuff, like a different type of squat pattern, a different kind of lunge pattern, a different push, a different pull. But like we're still hitting the same staples in each type of program.
Yes, once you have your foundational principles within the program, it's just different variables that you opt in and out of throughout the course of the year, essentially.
Right. I forgot the other thing that I was going to say.
Something about long-term education.
Oh, the other piece about education, I do think that there are some people who want to learn, but we also, I think this is something that we've struggled with on the back end of the app. Like we want to educate the user as much as possible. And we do get some people who ask for more education. Granted, it's obviously a lot of work to add like different cues and more education and more uploads and build out certain features in the app so that we could provide more education. And what we have seen is that there are some people who want more education. There are also a lot of people who say they want more education, but then don't utilize that education. And so transparently on the back end of TFL, we sometimes struggle with how much time should we be pouring into educational resources when there are a handful of people who want them, but like the vast majority isn't using those things.
Yeah, we've taken a couple different paths and philosophies, and I just want to highlight, you said it'd be a lot of work to do certain things in the back end. And it's not to say we're not willing to do that work, but as far as the ROI of like who's going to utilize it after we put in, like there are X number of things we could do in the next 6 months. Is that the one that you're going to enjoy using the most, that you're going to appreciate? So it's like us trying to allocate and prioritize based on optimal usage. But yeah, we spent a lot of time on both sides figuring out how to create things, build them in, who's going to use them, and even something as far as like the videos, right? So we've got the videos educating on challenges, videos educating an overall app, just those 2 dashboard videos that kind of sit there right now. Very few people watch them, and then they don't know how to use challenges because they didn't watch the video. And it's a 2-minute video. It's not a 15-minute primer. So it's things like that. What can we do to lower the friction in education? And what we've found, and this, like we were much more pro education initially, but what we've found based on the metrics on the back end that we continue to assess and kind of let that play a role in what the future looks like, is that more people want the done for you approach. Like, I'm going to plug in my info, just tell me what to do. Like, we've only got so many brain cells. We've used this as a point with like coaching, is like, you're the CEO of your life, delegate out tasks that you don't need to be the expert in. Like, you don't need to be a master chef. You don't need to be a master health and nutrition specialist. You don't need to be a master pool builder. Like, you hire out for all of those things. So if you're super interested, like, honestly, coaching is probably your best bet, because you're going to have those one-on-one conversations throughout. Yeah. So that's what Levolution coaching is really for. Not to say we're going to totally disregard education. Again, we know it plays a vital role within the app and it's accessible to everybody. So we will still keep putting things in there. But we will be really optimizing the done for you approach, which is what these next couple of updates that are going to be coming out soon in TFL are going to look like. Just like a auto configure your app to optimize for certain goals and pick programs out and all these things. So we'll be sharing that probably in the coming days. One's going to come out hopefully in the next week or so. And then the next chunk is really going to be that optimization I just kind of outlined there. So more fun stuff to share with you guys soon. But yeah, Shelby, I love it. I love the fact that you want to learn more, and we will keep investigating the best ways to do so. But just want to give you some insight into, the strategy and our thought process behind the scenes here.
I want to add one more thing about the programming aspect, because this is kind of interesting to touch on. And there are some apps that do it differently, but we also have some programs in our app that do it differently. Progression wise and like exercise selection wise, we're in a unique position with the majority of our programs, like Move, like Muscle Mommy, like Build, where you can join those at any time. And you don't start with block number 1 of the 12-month mesocycle or macro cycle, really. You're starting with the month that everyone is currently enrolled in. And so from a programming standpoint, we sometimes do progress things based on the previous month. Like you might program, a variation of something and then the next month make it a little bit more advanced because someone had the previous version of it the prior month. But we're also not making such drastic changes based on the month before because it might be someone's month 1. So we do have programs in the app, and I know that we've gotten questions about this before. I've at least gotten DMs about it before, so I wanted to clarify. We do have some programs that there is a theme of that entire macro cycle. There's a theme of Muscle Mommy. It's 4-day, it's hypertrophy split. It's fairly high-ish volume rep-wise, as opposed to something like Power Built, which is going to be higher intensity, lower rep volume. Those themes are the same throughout that macro cycle. If you were to do something like Tom's kettlebell program, right? That's, I believe, 3 different kettlebell phases, and each one builds off the last. Is it 12 weeks, that one, Josh?
It depends what you're talking about. He's got 3. He's got the beginner, intermediate, and advanced, and I believe they are all
that's
between
basically
6 to 12 weeks. Yeah.
Okay. But that's basically my point. There are 3 different levels, and each one builds off of the last, which is a little bit different, or a lot of bit different, really, from how we run Build, Move, Muscle Mommy, Physique, etc. Because we have to make it so that anyone can join at any time, but also the people in it are progressing forward from the previous month. So I just wanted to touch on that, because there are programs that will build off the last month. We do that in some capacity, but not so much that like we're peaking you for something if it's month 1 of your programming. Does that make sense?
It does, and it's a really good point. And it's something, again, to give you guys a look into our minds here. We have to juggle and balance. Okay, what is still remaining optimal program design, but at the same time is interesting enough to keep the average user engaged in that program over the course of a year. So, for example, there are months, like right now, I've been on Evolve for about a year, where I want to keep 95% of the same movements and just either go heavier or take that same weight and do more reps with it, one of those double progression methods. And I'm like, I can do that to an extent, but it can't be 95% the same. It's got to be 60% the same, or variations of the same move. Maybe we change the angle. We're hitting it from a similar position, change the angle. It's technically a different move. It's the business side of things, honestly. It's keeping you guys engaged and exciting, and this is new. I don't want to do the same thing over and over. I hated last month. I don't want to do it for another month, right, while still saying, no, it still has to be a quality program. This still has to make sense. It still has to be in the same theme. So that's kind of the idea there. That said, we do have a couple of those standalone programs where you do start from beginning and progress through over different phases, and we'll probably continue building things like that. We're rather than like a one-off, what's Power Built, like 6 or 8 weeks? But we can do
12 weeks.
12 weeks. But even still, we could go through multiple variations within a longer term program, give you an entire year. And
we're also obviously still programming those in a way that you're going to progress. Like, I don't want to make it sound like, oh, just because it's not necessarily this 12-week, building off of the last, like, you are absolutely still going to make progress with those programs. But like Josh said, we might change the angle of something, or like in the program design side for Muscle Mommy, if we had a tricep extension, like overhead tricep extension. Well, the next month I'm probably not going to use an overhead tricep extension. I'm going to pick a different tricep extension to like hit a different head of the tricep a little bit differently. Like, you're progressing still, but there's going to be some movement variation, even sometimes more than we're doing in our own programming. Like, I love Muscle Mommy, obviously. I do Muscle Mommy. I program Muscle Mommy, but like I probably sub 2 exercises on average per workout because they're just like staples in my routine that like you guys would probably just be bored as hell if I programmed those every single month for you. But like I'm probably doing those every month.
Yeah. And that said, again, I've been on Evolve for about a year. This is potentially outside of newbie gains, like the best progress I've had in my entire life. Like when I am consistent, they're 4 days, they're 30 to 45 minutes. I'm usually done in less than 40 minutes for all of them. I'm running more than I ever have in my entire life. And when I'm dieting, I'm physically progressing better than I have. And strength has been like my legs, I don't think I've ever been as strong as they are today.
I
My
swear by a
deadlift is
4-day split. I just think
it's
for most people, it is so optimal. Like you
just from a
recover better
recovery
with 4
standpoint.
days.
Yeah.
You have time for more cardio when you're doing 4 days of lifting. Like it's not overwhelming for your schedule, especially if your workouts are only 40 minutes anyway. Like 4 day, I have been doing a 4-day split for years at this point. And I agree, Josh, like best I felt, strongest I felt, best shape I've been in because I can recover. I can include other modalities besides lifting. I just feel like that is peak frequency amount for most people.
I agree. My powerlifting split is also 4 days, and pre-mom powerlifter Alessandra did not run like this when she was powerlifting before. And granted, I'm not at my peak running volume right now, but I'm running 4 times per week, and I wouldn't have been able to do that when I was powerlifting 5 days per week. So agreed. 4 days is the sweet spot.
Quick break, because if you're listening to this podcast, there's a good chance you want to feel stronger, healthier, and more in control. But your schedule doesn't always cooperate. That's exactly why we built the Fitness League. It's not another do more, try harder fitness app. It's a system designed for busy humans. Efficient, effective workouts. We have options from 10 minutes up to an hour. Clear programs you don't have to overthink. Challenges that allow you to stay consistent and invite friends and family to get involved. And a community that actually makes showing up easier. No guessing, no random workouts, no guilt if life gets messy. Just training that fits real life and helps you build momentum instead of burning out. If you're tired of starting over, if you want structure without obsession, and if you want fitness to support your life, not compete with it, you'll feel at home in the Fitness League. You can check it out right now with the link in the show notes. We even offer a 7-day free trial, no credit card needed to get started. Plus, we have a free version you can stay on at the end of your trial that allows you to be enrolled in one challenge at a time. This also is great for inviting friends and family to a challenge who may not want to pay for a fitness app. They can still join your challenge for free. Download it today and start building strength that actually sticks. All right, back to the episode. All right, Jennifer wants to know how to mentally accept or push through taking days off for injury.
It depends what the injury is. So, like, if you broke your leg, I'm not going to tell you to push through, but if you, I don't know, have like tennis elbow, can you train lower body instead of your upper body day that you had planned? So it really does depend what the injury is and how severe it is. And if you don't know exactly what it is, I think this was asked in the group this week, not in this thread, in a different thread. Like if you're just guessing what you think the injury is, that's going to probably keep you out of the game longer. So if you are injured and kind of in serious pain, like seek out the PT, seek out the help to make sure that it is what you think it is, rather than trying to just guess and then take time off and then re-injuring yourself. So I don't know. It depends what the injury is on how I answer whether you should push through it or pivot or rest.
I've had a hip thing lingering for a couple months at this point, and my pushing through was any movements that I felt it in the slightest were removed. So there were 2 or 3 weeks where my leg workout was leg extensions, leg curls, and like calf raises. And then the second workout would be like the single leg version of all those. And that was just to keep my legs in the game. I felt no discomfort. That was fine. And then I eased myself back in. And then I was just very conscious of what I felt was helping and what wasn't. So I did, after a couple of our conversations, reintroduce a lot of unilateral work, deficit reverse lunges, things like that to kind of whatever this imbalance is to start addressing that. And it's been better. So it's skating that line. You don't have to stop entirely if there are things that you can do, even if it's like, "Ugh, I don't want to show up and just do like preacher curls on a machine." It's something, and it's going to keep you moving. It's going to keep the habit, and it's going to be a lot easier to hit your stride once you are back at 100%.
That's why
Ellie
your legs
wants,
are
oh,
feeling so strong too, Josh, because you're doing all that unilateral work now.
well, this is even before that. I think so. My theory is, and this is going to sound like a total doofus, but like my legs got pretty strong pretty fast, but I was quote unquote efficient with what I was doing. So if I was short on time, I worked longer than I was supposed to in the morning, and now I've got like 20 minutes. I would just go squat, I would just go deadlift, whatever. So I've got my main heavy compound movements that were progressing really, really well every single week. And I don't think those assisting muscles and synergistic muscles and antagonists were keeping up quite as much with
That's
everything
fair.
else. So I think that was part of it. But yeah, no, the unilateral is definitely helping across the board. Ellie wants to know my immune boosting voodoo tricks to stay healthy and get healthy when sickness plagues the family. Signed, a mom of two petri dishes. We have
Garlic and
been there.
manuka.
Garlic and manuka. Raw garlic, you chop it, you wait 10 minutes, it activates that enzyme. And then if it's for the little ones, you could throw it like on a cracker or in some cheese, bury it in there. If it's yourself, just down it. Even like if the kids are sick, I'm doing that as precautionary because I'm not trying to get that. I'll do it if it's bad a couple times a day. If it's, just kind of maintenance, I'll do that once a day. Those two I swear by. Like I would do just those two. I do pop the Legion immune capsules when, you got some, they sent them for free. We didn't ask for them.
I like immune. When I feel like I'm about to get something, I like those.
Yeah. Yep. So you can pop those throughout the day. But honestly, it's sleep. Like when you feel it coming on when you're sick, it's no joke. I believe the statistic is anything below 6 hours, it might even be 7 hours, you are literally 20 times more likely, not 20%, 20 times more likely to get sick. So that has been something we've been religious with is making sure we're in bed at a consistent time. So not even just duration, but consistency with your schedule and everything else compounds on that. And it's like
Yeah.
it's funny, the solution to all of the problems that we give like to friends and family and on the podcast and in coaching, it doesn't matter what the problem is, they're all the same solutions. It's
Yeah.
prioritize sleep, prioritize recovery, move your body, work out, make sure you're getting in enough nutrients, optimize fiber. And when you do those things, like everything else is taken care of. Sauna, also awesome. Even when you're sick, unless you're knocked out, then you don't want to. It's too much of a stressor. But that was something that I honestly avoided when I was sick. But that can be good for cleansing the system. I believe the heat can also help kill this buildup, like in the back of your nasal cavity. But general cardio health in and of itself helps you clear viruses quicker as well. So again, it's all the same things. Madison wants tips for getting enough general movement steps with a work from home desk job. Not a ton of flexibility during the day. She walks in the morning and evening, but hates that she sits for like 9 hours straight. What do you do?
Best advice, and honestly, most people aren't even thinking about it this way, but a 3-minute walk times 8 to 10 times throughout your day. Like 3 minutes will go by like this, even if it's you pacing the room that you're working in at home.
Yeah.
That adds up so fast, so fast. You don't have to go out and go for an hour walk to hit your step goal. Like literally just pace the room that you're in and watch that step count soar. It's the easiest way to go about whatever your scenario is. And I think most people probably can commit to that no matter what. Like if you're on a call or whatever, that's the cheapest and easiest route, I think.
Yeah, lots of pacing, lots of just movement breaks. She said she doesn't have a ton of flexibility, but she is work from home. She said she does do a walk in the morning and the evening, but she's like, I'm basically sitting for 9 hours straight otherwise. I would just say, like, when you take those movement breaks where you can, like, even if you're just getting up to pee, like, take a lap. Like, we used to at Levolution, we'd say house laps, like, take some house laps, like, just do a little stroll. You get up to go to the bathroom, take a little stroll. You get up to get another cup of coffee, do a little stroll. Not necessarily outside, like you may have to really be at your computer. But like Alessandra said, even just 2-3 minutes of taking those movement breaks can be really helpful.
I was on sales calls for hours pre-merger, and in a 12 by 12 room, I was literally just pacing back and forth,
Yep.
just on my phone, pacing back and forth. So if you're not physically typing, like I probably wouldn't do a standing desk personally, not because there's anything wrong with it, but just like I would not enjoy that. So that wouldn't be on my
Could do a
radar.
walking pad. She could do a walking pad like at her desk.
I know she could. I'm saying
You
that's
wouldn't.
that's not my thing. So
It
that
would
could
be
be
too
another tip for
distracting
you.
for me. But
Yep, yep. But I mean, if you're not physically typing, move around the room. Even if you need to, even if you do need to be back on that, just do some laps for those 3 minutes in that room, whatever you got to do. So it's one of those things where it might be very inconvenient and seem a little silly, but it'll add up and you'll feel better just getting up, do some jumping jacks, do 10 squats in your chair and then sit right back down between emails. How many times did I ask this? How many times a day do you pick up your phone to scroll? Like, I can't do another email. And you pick up and scroll, do some push-ups, do some squats, or pace for 2 minutes and like let that take the scroll time. So I guarantee that's happening for a lot of you.
yep.
Cora says she has a Garmin watch. When did you get her a Garmin watch?
Cora.
Oh, wait, this isn't our Cora. And a spot that tracks your cycle. During the follicular phase, it talked about how studies have shown when estrogen rises, you may be at risk for ACL injury. How much truth is there to that, and why specifically the ACL?
I remember learning about this in my master's work with exercise science. Females have, it's something like a 2 to 8 times, which is obviously kind of broad, but like 2 to 8 times higher rate of ACL tears than males in like those specific sports. And usually when you think of an ACL tear, it's usually something that's an ACL is usually injured from like cutting, pivoting, like rapid deceleration, landing from a jump, like something that is putting the ACL covers the front of your knee. So basically something that is putting a stretch on the front of your knee in a not so great like force or acceleration. So because the female rate is so much higher than males, obviously the first conclusion we kind of jump to is like, well, there must be some sort of hormone situation at play, which is true. Like most things in exercise science, obviously kind of nuanced. But from what I understand, some of it is related to like plays in estrogen. So there are estrogen receptors in our ligaments, and the ACL is a ligament. And so estrogen can play a role in collagen metabolism, and it can also change like the stiffness or the laxity of some of our ligaments or muscles. And so when we have an increase in ligament laxity, we're more likely to like stretch it almost or like push it past the limit. You know how during pregnancy, Alessandra, they say too, like you get this laxity in your joints and you're a little bit more like injury prone. The same thing kind of happens depending on where you are in the menstrual cycle. So when estrogen rises, which would be like late follicular phase, like right before ovulation, that's when technically you might see a slight increase in knee laxity. And so that's usually when there would be ACL tears. Like there is some kind of connection between when people like were ovulating and ACL tears, which is really interesting. But with that said, we know just talking about cycle syncing in the past that menstrual cycles are so individual. So the nuance that I'll give on that is like, yes, it is true. Females tend to experience ACL tears more, but there's a lot of nuance around when that might be for someone because there is so much individuality when it comes to where, you know, when someone is ovulating, when someone's estrogen is peaking, things like that, when they're noticing strength differences or recovery differences or hunger differences. Because that's so individual, I think it's really hard to just put like a blanket statement on ACLs and menstrual cycles. So yeah, the data is kind of mixed there, but it looks like from a very, very general, broad, modestly speaking standpoint, there is a little increased risk around ovulation. But again, like not a huge sample size. Not all the studies replicate the same findings because there is so much individuality between menstrual cycles for different women.
And I'm curious, were those women strength training progressively? Because what do we know about strength training that helps reduce your risk of injury, specifically things like this? So if you're strength training regularly, you also run, you're generally healthy. I wouldn't not run because your Garmin said that you have a higher risk of tearing your ACL today.
Right. 100%. 100%. Also, just in general, I love that you brought up the strength training piece. I feel like you hear about like ACL tears are one of those things, like they're typically happening in sport. Like you're not like out on a walk and you tripped on a rock and tore your ACL usually, though I'm sure that's happened to someone out there. It's usually, like I said, like pivoting, cutting, like it's usually some sort of high contact sport. And one of the biggest reducers of something like that is going to be strength training and also plyometric work, jumping, preparing your ligaments, your knees, your ankles for that type of movement. Even like if you've ever seen like very sport specific training in the weight room, like people doing crazy things that you're like, why would someone ever be doing that? Like a lot of it is like deceleration mechanics and like landing mechanics because they want to train those ligaments to be really resilient. Also, just like kind of random fun fact about the ACL, it has like terrible blood supply. So that I think also just makes it more injury prone because it doesn't like get good blood supply, it doesn't heal always super well. Anyway, that's my thoughts on ACLs.
The more you know.
The more you know.
Amber is obsessed with every song Alessandra uses in the Hot Mom Summer YouTube videos. She wanted the playlist, and Nicole commented saying she's actually creating this playlist. So every time it's funny. Updated, she's updating this playlist, and she shared it in the group.
Yeah, so it's funny because the music that I have to use for YouTube can't be like popular music because it's all copyrighted. So I have to use like non-copyright music, which is like usually pretty awful, but Josh gets it from this website that's decent. And I've been trying to like use similar songs for like just workout footage or whatever. So I'm happy that you guys like it. But yeah, Nicole DM'd me, I think after the first or the second video, and she's like, I love the music, or someone said they love the music, and she's like, can we make a playlist? I'm like, well, if you want to go ahead and do it, go ahead and do it. And I'm happy to see that she did it. I know she made it on some, I think it says Tidal website. I don't know what that is, but maybe I can transfer it over to Spotify for you guys. But yeah, it's not any special music. I wish it could be cool, like radio music, but YouTube is kind of lame like that. So
I'm actually surprised you don't get flagged because you're not on my account.
I added myself to your account.
You added yourself. What did you take off?
I don't remember.
What did you take off? Because that's very important, and that might be why some things are getting messed up. So you're about to get booted. I'm laughing, but I'm very upset right now. Brittany is a bit of a step count nerd and has a watch, Ringcon ring, and pedometer that I like to use during different times to track my steps, but I've noticed they can all vary pretty wildly from one to the other. What is most likely the most accurate method? I usually just average all three together.
What was the other one she mentioned? Was it
Ringcon?
It's Ringcon.
I assume it's like an Oura ring. There's so many like similar rings out.
Rings now.
Yeah.
So a lot of them do kind of vary in accuracy also based on where you're wearing them. Alessandra and I had this conversation about heart rate too, because my Apple Watch was picking up way more accurate heart rates than my Oura ring. So from a step count specifically, I would say something that you're wearing on like your hip or your waist is probably going to be the most accurate. So like, I don't know if she's wearing her pedometer like clipped onto her pants. That would probably be the most accurate way to do it. I would say the next most accurate is probably wrist, though there can definitely be some like overestimations there. And then I would probably, as much as I love the Oura ring, I would probably say it's the least accurate. Yeah, I would say hip, pedometer, most accurate. Watch, fairly good for like normal walking and probably running too. And then ring, I just, again, big aura stand, but like I tend to think that's probably the least accurate because it's got to be picking up so much extra movement in like your typing and hand motions. And like there are days where like I don't work out and maybe didn't even go on a walk and I'll still have like 11,000 steps in a day. And like I'm sure I still have probably 7 or 8,000 from just like daily momming and whatever. But like there are some days I look at my aura steps, I'm like, there's no way I hit that amount of steps. So I think the aura ring picks up a lot of extra movement. So that would be my like hierarchy of probably what's the most accurate.
I agree. I don't disagree. I think, ironically though, like when I wear my Garmin and Aura, they're pretty close for me.
Really?
And I don't know if it's just, I don't know. I don't know if your Aura can adapt over time.
I
like
also
to
feel
you.
like, remember Aura made some kind of step count change and then
They did
everyone
switch
started
the
reporting
algorithm.
that their steps were low. Mine never did that.
Oh.
Mine are still like so high. So if they did change their like step algorithm to make it more accurate, I don't think I'm on that one because I will still sometimes have crazy high steps.
Yeah.
think it's
But at the end of the day, I think like just pick one and like
Yeah.
be consistent with tracking that over time. Like it's really, there's not going to be a perfect one out there, you know?
Listen, if you're tired of the all or nothing cycles, the diet starts Monday, the I know what to do, I'm just not doing it feeling, we should probably talk. Our one-on-one online coaching isn't just about workouts and meal plans. It's about building something that actually fits your life. No cookie cutter templates, no guilt, just real coaching and real results. Plus, we've got a pretty big team, so we can even pair you with an expert who actually understands your lifestyle because they've gone through it too. If that sounds like what you've been missing, check out the link in the show notes to apply for coaching. Then we'll send you the link to book a free, no obligation consult call with our team. There are no hard closes. We won't even take your credit card over the phone. You'll get the details to sign up on your own time. And more good news, we are in fact qualified for HSA FSA reimbursement. One last thing, we even offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. What are you waiting for? Spots are limited, so apply today. All right, let's get back to the show.
Yep.
Brooke wants a brief explanation of HRV. How much attention should we put into it?
If you don't want to drive yourself absolutely bonkers like I have in the past, don't give it too much. I think the most helpful thing is noticing the trends. And we always say, like, we love our wearables, but also take them with a grain of salt, because sometimes like what your wearables say versus what you're feeling can be a lot of, very different. So I tend to think that the trends are the most helpful. I think she had mentioned like related to her cycle, that hers is usually in the 90s unless she's in her luteal phase, then it's closer to the 70s, but then she knows other people who are consistently in the 20s. So one thing that I do like to point out with that is that HRV is relative to the individual. So there actually is not really a standard of like what it should be, because there's high for you and low for you, and there's high for me and low for me. So like we've talked about this with our coaches before. Like I think it's Coach Shelby. She'll have like 180 as an HRV, and I'm like, never in my life have I had that. Like high for me is like 80s and 90s. And then like luteal phase, I'm like 30s and 40s. Like I do see that big trend difference, follicular versus luteal. But does it really change anything? Like, no, I've got the same bedtime routine. I'm eating the same things. Like I'm not really changing much based on that data, which is why I'm saying don't make yourself like too crazy about it. If you're asking about like technical explanation, it's the variation in time between your heartbeats. So more variability is a good thing. Like the higher your HRV, the more variability, the more indicative it is of like better recovery. So a higher HRV generally means like a stronger parasympathetic influence, which would mean like better recovery capacity. When you see lower HRV, it usually means more sympathetic dominance, which is like more stress, more fatigue, more illness. poorer sleep. So you might see HRV tank. Like if you drink alcohol, you might see HRV tank when you're sick. You will see HRV tank if you had a really poor night of sleep, if you're really, really sore or fatigued. So more than anything, I think that those trends are helpful. Like use it as like recovery context and like self-awareness, but I wouldn't necessarily let it dictate like what you're going to do that day. Or like if I get a low HRV, I'm not going to be like, oh, guess I shouldn't lift weights today. Like if it's Tuesday and I have lifting on my schedule, like I'm going to do it anyway. So yeah, that's the insight that I would give. And also that it's very common to see differences in your follicular and luteal phase.
She also asked if we have any other favorite podcasts besides the Fitness League, obviously.
Nope, this is the only one we listen to.
That's it.
We just listen to ourselves when we're bored.
I've never listened to one of our podcasts, by the way. I don't have like a go-to podcast, but like if there's something I want to learn about, like on Tuesday when I did my treadmill run, I was wanting to learn more about like how to just communicate better, like for content purposes, and to just clarify how you speak and write. So like I searched on YouTube for a podcast like that, and I just picked one that had a lot of views and I listened to it. So I'll like seek things out as far as like what I want to learn about, but I don't really have one that I'm like, oh, I listen to this podcast every week kind of thing. You guys are way better for that, for being here and listening to us every single week.
Oh, I thought you meant you guys as in me and Josh.
No, our
like,
listeners.
Maybe Josh. Josh probably listens to podcasts more than us too, but
No,
sometimes I'll put on like a guilty pleasure like podcast in the car if I just need to like not be listening to something educational and I just need like free up brain space, but I want to listen to something, then I'll just go like stupid like celebrity route or something. Just like Hillary Duff just did like a 2-hour interview on Call Her Daddy. And I'm like, I like Hillary Duff. I want to listen to her. But anyway.
I don't have enough brain cells to go around to not be putting them all to good use. So it's usually like the least educational podcast that I'll listen to will be something like the story of Walt Disney's life, which I'm still trying to learn from and glean insight from. So like
that's the Founders podcast, and that was super educational. So
no, I was gonna say that I love the Founders podcast. They come up and either not interview, but they'll do like 2-hour long episodes, deep dive on each individual person. I'm not talking about the one on Walt Disney. I'm talking about like I'll continue to even like autobiographies. Like I'll listen to the ebook version, like just the story of their life, and just try to get a different psychological perspective on why they built certain things and character traits and things like that. So it is still technically educational, but I also find it more entertaining. But I'm just trying to glean some competitive advantages one way or the other anytime that I'm listening to anything at all. So Lucy, with the question of the day, any tentative plans on when the TFL app will be available to non-Apple users? I love the SDE Method app, but I can't wait to get my hands on the TFL app. It's been a hot topic since launch. It has been a hotter topic in the last week / couple days. Tentative plans. I should have a speech ready for this by now after the conversations I've had. Let me take a step back. The reason you don't have it currently, to give you guys full transparency, is the three of us, just three normal homies. There's no VC money, any backing. We have not sought after any investor funds. This is the way we want to do it. But that said, we also don't come from large piles of money. So the option was to start with one development team on either side. We all have iPhones. It was iOS for the first build. When we are able to do so, we will sprint to get you guys an Android app. We may even come up with a bridge where we build like a web version in between, so it's literally accessible to everybody, and it'll still look nice and perform well on your phone. But we're trying to weigh with every development decision what brings the most bang for our buck, because it's a limited buck. Like I said, we don't have piles and piles of money. The app literally pays for itself. So I know we had some extracurricularly frustrated people who may have thought that there was some business incentive in some way, shape, or form to not create a Google Play app for Android. Like it was a strategic decision not to do so. We have not made money on the app since it launched or since we started building it. And we're coming up 18 months, 2 years, whatever it is right now. Every single penny that has come in from an app has gone directly back into development for the app. So we're not even, additional transparency, we're not even putting that money into marketing. It is literally building it to give you guys the best possible product. And let me say this, there was the option of creating something that was like a hybrid for both. It would have lived in Android and Apple, but optimized for neither. And we have played that game before where, it's just okay. We will never do just okay. There's no such thing as good enough. So from day one, the vision has always been to build the best possible product, platform, whatever this evolves into, that we possibly can. And there will be no half measures taken along the way. We spend hours on the most minute of decisions.
Literally.
Like we'll jump into it at meeting. We laugh about it afterwards.
Hours we might spend on like a button, like a color of something. And obviously there's big design decisions and small feature decisions and things like that. But I know no one will quite get it unless you have done this and like you've built an app. This is our whole life right now. Building this, meetings for it, and Levolution too, because we have a lot of, changes and back end things happening there as well, and marketing and ads and all of that. We can assure you that we are not just sitting around like, ha ha ha, let's see how we could torture the Android people. Like, we are pouring everything, like the blood, the sweat, the tears, the finances. I was waiting for you, Josh, when you were like, hold on, let me take a step back. The three of us, I was waiting for you to be like, are broke as fuck. Josh didn't go that route. He went a little bit more classy than that. But we truly have poured everything into this and will continue to pour everything into this. But like Josh said, we have gone the route before of like, let's just put out good enough. And like, we don't want to do that. And so we would like to, I would just say it's like, we don't have a firm timeline yet because we are trying to optimize as much as we possibly can on the iOS side, and also like transparently recoup some funds too, because to do the Android build out, like it's another whole app build out. And I won't share what we've spent, but like we don't have that right now to build a whole nother app yet. And we will share the fitness league, please. Tell your friends. We will, and we absolutely will get to that. Like it's absolutely on the roadmap. But that's why like we don't have a timeline yet, because we are trying to make this as fantastic as we can for Apple users currently, and then be able to pour all of that same effort into an Android app.
Wasn't planning on taking that path, but let's go full send here.
Okay.
We planned on this being a 3-month build.
LOL.
LOL. And it was basically just going to replace the current app with the current features, make them better. And that was going to be that. All done. Like we have an app now. Hooray. We have seen the potential in this when we linked up with this team of developers. Just incredibly, incredibly smart people who work incredibly well on this team. Yep. And we saw what this could do. And we said, okay, this is the platform. There is so much good we can do here. We can literally, once this thing gets into everybody's hands, we can literally change the world. So that 3-month project has turned into 8 18, 19 something and counting with no end date. Like there is no, we have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. We have a plan for off app, like in-person things. Like that is the plan. So in doing so, budgeting for 3 months and extending that to forever, we ate into funds that we did not plan to eat into. And we shared with our team about a year ago that we believe in what we're doing so hard, we would literally sell the house to continue this mission. And we are months away from that actually happening. We have been taking it on a month-to-month basis, and we are coming up on the finish line of that here. So, when we talk about challenging times and, a lot going on behind the scenes, that's a big part of that. And by no means are we in a bad position. Like we are blessed to be in the position that we're in, to be able to take this leap, and we have full faith in whatever God's plan is. But we already met with the realtor twice. We've got a plan for getting the house up. And if it comes to that, like we are prepared to do so. We've got some fun things we're going to spin it into, and this is going to be a good thing. But if anybody is, we appreciate you guys wanting it and understanding, the disappointment. Of course, we're disappointed for you. If anybody thinks there's some, like we're sitting back rolling in it, let me tell you, we are not. We have not been able to pay the bills with income over the course of this journey. Thank God we've had, a great ride, and we had a lot of runway leading up to this point, and we've been willing to pour all that in and everything else that we've done. But there are big changes happening over here so that we can continue this mission, because we know of how much good it can do in the world and how much we care about you guys. And we do want to get this in everybody's hands. So, yeah, there it is. There's that.
So like we promise when you ask about when's the timeline for Android, and we're like, sorry, we don't have a timeline. Like we hate to give you that answer, but also like, there you go for some of the why behind not having a super definitive answer there.
There it is. All right. Emily wants to know, any advice on talking to family about health
real
and fitness?
smooth.
Keep it cruising. I have some relatives, females in their early 50s, saying things like walking is good for osteoporosis and wearing a weighted vest is strength training. We recently had the discussion about something being better than nothing, but that strength training is one of the biggest bang for your buck modalities for the longevity and bone density. What's your take? I want to encourage healthy behaviors with family and not yuck someone's yum, but I also want to ensure correct educational information is being shared. What are the exercise behaviors you would encourage for someone who wants to live a long and independent life and with no care about aesthetics?
I think this is so hard, but it sounds like she's having the conversations with them. So I would assume that they're open to talking with you about this already. I would assume you're not just like yucking their yum and shoving it down their throats. Like, stop using the weighted vest and go strength train. Like, it sounds like it's an open conversation. I don't know if it is, but I think that's number one. Like, if they're not willing to listen, then you can't really say anything without feeling like it's yucking their yum. But if they're asking you for advice, or maybe they're openly sharing with you, like, these are the things that I'm doing, I think it's okay to then be like, well, actually what I've learned and what I've heard, and this is what I do, and kind of just spin it so that it's coming more so from how you act and what you've learned in your lived experience, rather than actually that's wrong, you shouldn't do that. Like, nobody's going to be receptive to that. But if you spin it as far as like sharing your experience, sharing any progress maybe that you've seen, or whatever you think will kind of hit the best with them, I think that's probably the most gentle route you can take it without shoving it down their throat. It is a hard conversation though, especially with that age group, I feel like, because they're so ingrained in certain ways as far as what they believe, as far as health and fitness, and like what they grew up with. Like, it looks way different than what we grew up with and what we see now. But that's their truth, right? So it is a gentle conversation, I think, that needs to be had.
I want to add something else there as well that is a little bit of a different perspective. I love that you're having these conversations with them, and you are right in that strength training is going to be the biggest, quote, bang for your buck in terms of bone density and longevity. And the walking is obviously great. And I honestly love that they've added a weighted vest. I think that's a good, do I think it's as good as strength training? No. Do I think it's better than nothing? Yes. And so obviously I don't know the nature of like these relationships or like who they are in your life, but if there is no chance whatsoever of you getting them in a gym to do strength training, then okay. Then walking with a weighted vest is fantastic. And I'm so glad they're doing that. And will it help? Yes. Maybe there's also a compromise there. Maybe they're not walking into a gym and doing a leg day by themselves, but maybe you're recommending to them like, hey, see if you could do the weighted vest and like try a lunge. See if you could wear the weighted vest and do a squat, just in your garage after your walk, do 10 squats and 10 lunges. There are ways that you can introduce, quote, strength training and allow them to use their weighted vest. And like that will be beneficial. There was some data a while ago on elderly people who had a staircase in their house versus people who had single level houses and how much better the bone density was of people who just had a staircase in their house. And I think about that all the time because just like, we don't think of going up the stairs as strength training, but when you are putting all of your weight on one foot and one bone and not one muscle per se, but you know what I mean, one side, and then stepping up onto that incline to take the next step, like that is resistance training in a sense. And so yes, we are so pro strength training, but also like this 50-something-year-old might not be willing to go to a gym. And so how can you teach them to utilize some form of resistance training using what they have and doing what they're comfortable doing? They like to walk, they have the walking vest or weighted vest and they like to use that. Great. Can we add a lunge? Can we add a squat? How can we make that work for them and what they're comfortable with? Because if we just say, oh, what you're doing isn't good enough, then maybe they switch to just doing nothing. If there's no point in this, then like, why am I even doing it? And now I'm not going to a gym, so I'll just do nothing instead. So I just get really, I get very hyper aware about being critical about a modality that someone is using because I don't ever want them to feel like, oh, well, if this isn't worth it, I'll do nothing. Because like you said, something is always better than nothing. And so how can we utilize what she's currently doing and maybe step it up a little, but also not necessarily say, no, don't do that, do this instead. It's like, hey, what can we add to what you're currently doing that doesn't feel so like a drastic overhaul?
Agreed. I
Like
think you could also slip in some TFL challenges too. Put in some body weight squats, some push-ups, and then do your steps and outdoor time. That'd be a pretty gnarly challenge to do with your family. So with that, guys, we are going to wrap up this conversation with the reminder that change doesn't come in one big moment. It's built in the ways you keep showing up. Take what you learned today and build the best version of yourself for tomorrow. Where can they find you?
I'm at Alessandra Skutnik.
At Joelle Samantha.
At Josh Skutnik.
And everything else you need is linked in the show notes.